What's up and welcome back to another video, guys. Today I'm going to be ranking every single LEGO Star Wars Battle Pack from 2007 to 2024, and now I am going to be excluding all of these Super Battle Packs just because I don't think that they can really fairly compete with the traditional Battle Packs. But without further ado, let's get right on into this video. In last place, I've set 75132, the First Order Battle Pack with 88 pieces, releasing in January of 2016 for $13 USD and now goes for about $20. Overall, I think this is just a very boring and plain battle pack, especially with the build, and the fact that there's two crew minifigures just ruins any possibility at redemption. It's just not really a battle pack that has any draw for me, which is why it is at the bottom of the list. Next up is set 75197, the First Order Specialist Battle Pack with 108 pieces, releasing in January of 2018 for $13, now going for about $25. Now, I have to say, there was so much potential here. I think the Executioner minifigures are so cool, and they would have been sick to army builds, but once again, it's just ruined by the crew members, and it ruins any potential for this set to go higher on the list. Next up, I have a bit of a hot take being set 75167, the Bounty Hunter Speeder Bike with 125 pieces, releasing in June of 2017 for $15, now going for $50. I know this set has a bit of a cult following, and I do think it's a great idea on paper, but it shouldn't have been a battle pack. Why are we getting the 4 names Bounty Hunters in a battle pack? I think this could have been a great playset, and I think it would have sold great, and it definitely would have been held in a lot higher regards as it is right now. But with a battle pack, people want to army build, and no one wants to army build a ton of names Bounty Hunters. Next is set 75198, the Tatooine Battle Pack, coming in at 97 pieces, for releasing in January of 2018 for $13 and now goes for about $30. I have to say, I'm very biased because I like this set a lot. I know it kind of goes against everything that I've said previously about battle packs, that it's not really something that you would ever army build, but something about it is just super cool, and I am a big fan of this set. But once again, the reason it's this low on the list is it shouldn't be a battle pack. It should have been like a $30 set, beef up the build, get some more minifigs, and it would have been a very good set. However, as a battle pack, I can't rank it any higher than it is right now. Up, I've set 75225, the Elite Praetorian Guard Battle Pack, coming in at 109 pieces, releasing on January of 2019 for $15, now going for about $40. Now, I have to say the Praetorian Guards are super sick, and I think the design is very, very cool. It would have been nice to have gotten a 4th and not have just the random First Order Stormtrooper thrown in, but it is still nice, and it's a nice one for army building. However, I think the build is what holds this one back. It's not really a build that's really interesting to have more than one of. I think this stand with like the little spinny thing is a lot of fun. It's a cool little play feature, but in regards to a battle pack build, I just think it is what is holding this set back. Next up, I've set 75166, the First Order Transport Battle Pack, coming in at 117 pieces, releasing in June of 2017 for $15, now going for about $35. First up, the Flame Trooper is so cool, and it's nice to get it in an army buildable set. I think the Stormtroopers are also, or the First Order Stormtroopers are very cool. However, it's the officer that ruins it. I think if this set didn't have an officer, it would have been a lot higher on the list, but I have no desire to get multiples of the officer. I think the build is kind of mediocre. It's pretty cool, but not one that I'm insanely interested in. Overall, it's pretty solid. I just wish it didn't have the officer. Next up, I have set 75206, the Jedi and Clone Trooper Battle Pack, coming in at 102 pieces, releasing in April of 2019 for $15, now going for about $50. First off, I have to say, this is a build that I am very fond of. I think the little mini gunship was done very well. It's very interesting, and it's an interesting one, the army builds as well. Also, the Episode 2 style Clone Troopers, some of my favorite, and they were so good. This battle pack could have been top 10 if it weren't for Ki-Adi-Mundi and Barriss. I think they just turned this to a S-tier battle pass to a very just bad battle pack. I don't want 500 Ki-Adi-Mundis sitting in my clone army. If this was just 4 clone troopers, no doubt this would be in the top 10. But because of those 2 Jedi, it could not be any higher on this list. Next up is at 75260, the Sith Trooper Battle Pack, coming in at 105 pieces, releasing in January of 2020 for $15, now going for about $25 to $30. First off, I have to say these minifigures are so cool. The Sith Troopers look great, and I just think it's the officer once again that holds this back. If this had just had one extra Sith Trooper in place of the officer, it would have been so many spots higher on this list, but I couldn't bring it any higher. But the red Sith Trooper design is so cool, and I'm very happy that we ended up getting this, because they are a very cool and something that's nice to army build, because they're not too expensive, but still a very solid set. Just sad that there was the officer. Next up is set 75131, the Resistance Trooper Battle Pack, coming in at 112 pieces, releasing in January of 2016 for $13, now going for about $20. I have to say there's a pretty solid build here, and I love the different helmets that we get. However, it's just not something that I see as a very army buildable thing. The Resistance isn't something that's super interesting to me either. I think the First Order is just cooler than the Resistance. I do think there are some redeeming qualities with this battle pack. It's just personally not for me. Next up, an iconic one being 8015, the Assassin Droids Battle Pack, coming in at 94 pieces, releasing in January of 2009 for $10, now going for $50. This is a very nostalgic one to me, and I do think overall it's a fairly solid set. It's just one that not many people are interested in because of the Assassin Droids, but you actually get 5 Assassin Droids in this set, which I think is very good and definitely makes up for the fact that it's droids and not an actual figure. And I also think that the builds in this battle pack is slept on. I think the build for the speeder is very well done, especially for 2009. I think it's a pretty solid battle pack, which is why it is up here on the list. Next up is set 75207, the Imperial Patrol Battle Pack, coming in at 99 pieces, releasing in April of 2018 for $15, now going for $40. First thing I have to say, this is a top 10 battle pack build, and you can't tell me otherwise. This build is so sick, it's so sleek, and it's such a good build. And also, I think the Rangers are so cool. But the officers, once again, it's probably a theme that you're seeing if it has officers in the battle pack. I'm not a fan of it, but there is so much potential with this, and I still think it's a very solid battle pack, especially because of the build. But it's just the officers are unfortunately the reason that it is this low on the list. Next up is set 75000, the Clone Trooper vs. Droideka Battle Pack, coming in at 124 pieces, releasing in January of 2013 for $13, now going for about $80. There's a few things that I have issues with this battle pack. The first is that I think the Droideka builds are just really goofy. They don't look like Droidekas. I think LEGO at the start, when they did their first Droidekas, they were good, and every time that they make Droidekas from on and on, they got worse. Especially these, I don't think they look good. I know there's a few people out there that really love these and defend them with their life, but I am not one of them. And I also think getting the Clone Sergeant in this battle pack is just kind of disappointing. It definitely would have been up higher on the list if it just had 2 normal Clone Troopers, or honestly if it just had 4, or just had some normal droids instead of the goofy Droideka builds. I will say a redeeming quality is going to be the Clone Command Station. I think that is a pretty solid build, but overall it's just not a battle pack that I'm very fond of. Next up, I've set 75226, the Inferno Squad Battle Pack, coming in at 118 pieces, releasing in January of 2019 for $50, now going for $55. Now, this is the only Battlefront 2 set that we got, and I honestly just have to say this should have been a bigger playset, especially for Battlefront 2. We could have gotten so much more interesting than a battle pack, and then it wouldn't have ended up taking up this slot, and then getting like the IDM Tercio. It's just not something that's super army buildable. I will say though, I think the design of the people, or of the minifigures in this battle pack, are very, very good. They're very cool, which is why I have it up here. I think the Battlefront 2 campaign I enjoyed playing back when I did go and play through it, and I think this is a pretty solid set. It's just not a great battle pack option. Next up, I have set 75079, the Shadow Troopers Battle Pack, with 95 pieces, releasing in January of 2015 for $13, now going for about $55. I think it's just an underrated set in general. I think the figures are great, and I think the build is fairly solid. Now, I am very biased with this being based on Force Unleashed, which is one of, if not my favorite Star Wars games of all time. So yeah, I guess right there is why I have it up here on the list. Well, there are many other people out there that would have put it lower, but I do genuinely believe that the minifigures in this set have some great designs, especially with the gray and black with the red highlights. I think this looks great, and I think it's just a very clean battle pack. Next is set 75345, the 501st Clone Trooper Battle Pack, with 119 pieces, releasing in January of 2023 for $20. Now, I will say, I think the figures here are pretty solid. There's a pretty good variety and lineup, and I have to say the accessories included were great, especially because it introduced us to the micro binoculars, which are sick. The thing that I think holds this battle pack back the most, though, is the builds. I know there's some people out there that like this build, but personally, I find this build super ugly. I wish the build was something different. I do think it is cool that we got something different than a speeder or something random like that, but I will say that this little cannon build is not it for me. Next up, I have set 75001, the Republic vs. Sith Trooper Battle Pack, coming in at 63 pieces, releasing in January of 2013 for 13 bucks, now going for about 60 or 70. I have to say, I do love this set, and yeah, I may be a bit biased having it up here, but I just love this set and the Old Republic. I think the minifigures are very solid as well, and I think the build is kind of a little bit lackluster. It's still a cool one though, and I do like that you can build both sides of your army with this one set, getting 2 of each faction. Overall, I think this is a pretty underrated one, but that's probably only because I love the Old Republic. I have another hot take up next with set 75267, the Mandalorian Battle Pack, coming in 102 pieces, releasing on January 1st of 2020 for $15, now going for about $30. Now this is a cool idea, and I think the colors are great, and I think the design as well with the speeder is very, very good. First, I don't really think that it fits the Battle Pack Ballad, and something about it just doesn't really do it for me. This isn't a set that I was ever really drawn to, which is why it is low on this list. I do agree that it is a pretty cool set, and I know there's a lot of people that will defend this with their dying breath. It's just not one that I'm incredibly interested in, and it's my list, so I get to choose where it goes, which is why it is down here on the list. Next is set 75359, the 332nd Ahsoka Clone Trooper Battle Pack, coming in at 108 pieces, releasing in August of 2023 for $20. I think overall this is a very solid set. I think the figs are pretty good, except for Commander Vaughn, but we'll talk about that in just a sec. I do think the build here is actually really good. Yes, it's a very downsized build of the Swamp Speeder, and it doesn't necessarily make sense for what this battle pack was based on, but I do think the Swamp Speeder build was done very well, and it's a very interesting one, and definitely very good contrast to, per se, an ATRT or some sort of speeder. I think it turned out very good, and I'm pretty happy with this one. It's just the fact that Commander Vaughn was included, which is why it is down here. I don't think that the Vaughn minifigure is that good, and I mean, it's not the biggest deal because you can just make him a reg, but he still has that little bit of printing on the torso. Overall, a pretty solid set. Next up, I've set 9489, the Endor Rebel Trooper and Imperial Trooper Battle Pack, coming in at 77 pieces, releasing in January of 2012 for $13, now going for about $40. I think the figs here are very solid. However, I think the speeder is also pretty good, but it's the tree that's just really ugly. When going through, I had this higher, and then when I was double checking my list, I saw the tree and I was just like, this has to go lower. The tree is just not it, I think. I think they could have gone without that, or done like a small little side build for the rebels, like maybe, I don't know, like a little turret or something that wasn't an ugly tree. I guess it is fun for the play feature, and I think it is overall a pretty solid set, and maybe just a tad bit underrated. I don't see many people talk about this one because I think it is a pretty solid set. Next up, I have an iconic one being 8084, the Snowtrooper Battle Pack, with 74 pieces, releasing on January of 2010 for $12, now going for about $30. Like I said, this is an iconic battle pack. I think these Snowtroopers in here are also timeless. They're great, and I think they still hold up for today. However, I'm pretty sick of having just 20 officers sitting in my army for the Imperials, because army building this set, you get stuck with the AT-AT drivers, which aren't inherently bad. I think they are pretty cool to army build, but once you get too many of these officers, it just it's boring. It's the same as the other officers. I think these ones are just a little bit more acceptable to have in the battle pack because they are a bit more generic, but overall a pretty solid and an iconic battle pack. Next up, I have set 8083, the Rebel Trooper Battle Pack, coming in with 79 pieces, releasing in January of 2010 for $12, now going for about $30. This is another iconic battle pack, and the Hoth Rebels are just super cool. I think overall it is a very good battle pack with some very good minifigures, and I think that the build is great, and I have to say I'm pretty jealous of that mustache. Next up, I have a bit of an underrated one being set 75164, the Rebel Trooper Battle Pack, coming in at 120 pieces, releasing in January of 2017 for $15, now going for about $55. This is a great set, and there are some really cool prints on the different torsos here, which makes it pretty interesting for army building. I think some of those molded helmets are also great, and I think the speeder build and the little side build are also very good on this set. Overall, it's a very solid one that gets overlooked very often just because it is a Rebel Trooper Battle Pack, but overall I think this is a great one. Next up, we have set 75262, the Imperial Dropship 20th Anniversary Edition, coming in at 125 pieces, releasing in April of 2019 for $20. There was a $5 price increase on that because of that Han Solo minifigure, which makes this one kind of hard to judge. However, I tried to judge this based on just the battle pack aspect and not the fact that it had the anniversary figure included, and now it goes for about $50. I think it's just a great battle pack altogether. You get your 3 stormtroopers, which are very good. good. And you also get your Shadow Stormtrooper in there as well, which is also very sick. And the build being a good and just updated version of the previous battle pack, which just overall, I think this is great. Yes, it's kind of a gray area with that Han Solo minifigure in there because it's obviously not something that you really want to army build, but it did make this kind of even cheaper for army. Not really, because it was that $5 increase, but you could just sell off the Han Solo to cover for that price increase. Overall, a very interesting one and kind of a hard one to judge. Following that up, I have its predecessor being set 7665, the Imperial Dropship, with 81 pieces releasing in January of 2008 for $10, now going for about $85. Once again, a great figure lineup here, and with those iconic OG Stormtroopers, and just the build, and it's a little bit outdated, but I still think that it holds up, and it's a very fun battle pack build, and I just have this above the anniversary edition, because I think the older one has a little bit more charm to it, and it was just a better bang for your buck. Well, at least back on retail. Now it's definitely more expensive than the anniversary edition. Next up, I've set 75133, the Rebel Alliance Battle Pack, coming in at 101 pieces, releasing in January of 2016 for $13, now going for about $40. I think the speeder here is a great build, and I think the minifigures are pretty cool. I think they're very underrated because they have some great detail. I will say, with all of the different minifigures though having pretty identifiable features, it makes it a little bit odd for army building, but this one still holds a special place in my heart. Next, I've set 9488, the Elite Clone Troopers and Commando Droid Battle Pack, coming in with 98 pieces, releasing in January of 2012 for $13, now going for about $160. This is an iconic battle pack. I think the ARC Trooper is perfection. It is one of the best clone troopers that LEGO has made. I think the ARC Trooper is also super sick and well done, and the Commando droids are great. The build is also pretty solid. I think this is a great battle pack. However, it does get some hate given the fact that it isn't necessarily army buildable, but I don't know. I wouldn't complain of having an army of a bunch of ARC Troopers, so maybe I'm alone here, but I think this is a great set and it deserves to be up here on the list. I was going to put it a little bit higher, but then I came to my senses and brought it down just a little bit. Next up, I've set 7668, the Rebel Scout Speeder, coming in at 82 pieces, releasing in January of 2008 for $10, now going for about $85. Once again, an iconic battle pack. It is great for army building, getting 4 of your normal just Rebel fleet troopers, which look pretty cool in my opinion. Yes, they're a little outdated, but for the time they're great. And I have to say, I think that the speeder design here is also very good. This is just overall an ideal battle pack, and it's super great. And I wish that this is what we got instead of that super battle pack of this remake. So I have set 75078, the Imperial Troop Transport Battle Pack, with 141 pieces, releasing in January of 2015 for $13, now going for about $55. I think this is one of, if not the best Imperial battle packs. Getting your 4 Stormtroopers is great for army building, and personally, I know this might be a little hot take, but I do like the Rebel style of the Stormtrooper. It's not the best per se. I think Rogue One takes the cake for the best, but I do think that it is pretty good. A lot of people hate on it, and I don't know, I'm not one of them. I think it's great. But I think another huge thing to come into play here is the build. The build is so cool. There's so many great play features, and it fits all of your minifigures. It's one of the best battle pack builds, hands down. It is so good. And yes, I am very biased toward this set, but it's because I just think it is such a good set. Next up, I've set 75089, the Geonosis Clone Trooper Battle Pack, coming in at 105 pieces, released in January of 2015 for $13, now going for $110. These are some of my favorite clones that LEGO has ever made. I think very underrated with a sick design. I think the build here, though, is super ugly. I don't like the massive stud shooter Gatling gun thing at the bottom. It takes away from this build so much, and it would have been higher on this list if not for that. In my opinion, I think it just makes the build kind of something that doesn't appeal to me, but the clone troopers are very good in this set. Next up, I've set 75134, the Galactic Empire Battle Pack, coming in at 109 pieces, releasing in January of 2016 for $13, now going for about $75. I think that over here, these Stormtroopers are so sick. I love them. I think that these are some of the best versions that we have got. With the different scuffs and damage, they look so cool, and I wish that we had gotten this more often from LEGO. And once again, I think the Shock Trooper is also very cool. Oh, I'm pretty sure this is the only time that we ever got the Imperial Shock Trooper, and I wish that we saw it more often because this minifigure is sick. There is a bit of an issue here, and that is the officer, though. I think that kind of ruins it for me. I think it could have been great, but I also think that the build is pretty mediocre as well. I think if this had a better build and just another Stormtrooper or Shock Trooper, it would have definitely made the top 10, or if not the top 5. It would have been so good, and I think it still is a very good battle pack. It was just held back by those two aspects. Next up, I've said 7655, the Clone Trooper Battle Pack, coming in with 558 pieces, released in January of 2007 for $10, now going for about $120. This is an iconic set. It's the father of army building for LEGO Star Wars. You get 4 great Clone Troopers with the Regs, your Shock, and also your Star Core minifigures. It's sick, and I also think the builds here are very good. The speeder and the side builds, especially for a set from 2007, it still holds up today, and I think it is a great and iconic set. Next up, I've said 75165, the Imperial Trooper Battle Pack, coming in with 112 pieces, releasing in January of 2012 for $15, now going for about $80. I think, first of all, the Death Troopers are so cool, and it was great to get them in a set that was army buildable, and I think these Stormtroopers are also very good, also with a pretty solid build as well. I think this is just a very overall great battle pack, and it is rounded out very well, which is why it's coming up in the top of our list. Next, I've said 75320, the Snowtrooper Battle Pack with 105 pieces, releasing in January of 2022 for $20. This is great for army building. I think these Snowtroopers here are great, and I also think that the Scout Trooper was a perfect inclusion, rounding out this battle pack, and it is so good for army building, especially if you need to fill up that UCS AT-AT, and I also think that the speeder and the side builds are very good. This is just a very good battle pack altogether, in my opinion. So I've said 7914, the Mandalorian Battle Pack, releasing in January of 2012 with 68 pieces for $12, now going for about $90. I think this is a underrated one by many. In my opinion, it is a perfect battle pack, getting your 4 Mandalorians all the same. It's just great, and I think the Mandalorian minifigures were done very, very well, especially for the time, and I also think that the speeder build is great, and you also get some very good side builds as well. This is a great set, and I'm very happy to put it up here toward the top of our list. Cracking into our top 5, the first set coming in 5th place is set 7913, the Clone Trooper Battle Pack, with 85 pieces, releasing in January of 2012 for $12, now going for about $120. This is an iconic set, and yes, I am very biased because this is a set that I remember very fondly of my childhood, but it has 4 great minifigures, being the Bomb Squad Troopers, also that got a lot of hate back in the day for some reason, but I do think that they are great, and I think now people are definitely coming to and appreciating them more. But yes, I will say it is kind of odd to get them in the battle pack, but I do think that they are very cool and pretty underrated. Also, the Horn Company Trooper is so cool, as well as the ARF Trooper, this being one of the only times that, or the only time that we got the Reg ARF Trooper in a set. It's great, and I think overall this was a very good set, and I think that the speeder build was also great, so I think it is very deserving of this top 5 spot. So up in the number 4 spot, I have set 7654, the Droid Battle Pack, with 102 pieces, released in January of 2007 for $10, now going for about $100. This is the first and only true Droid Battle Pack that we ever got, and I think it is sick. It's a great build alongside some great droids, and I really wish that we got more sets like this from LEGO. Some true Droid Battle Packs. I think the carrier is great. You get a good diversity and a lot of droids, especially for the price that this retailed for. It is a great set, and it's definitely deserving of this number 4 spot. In the 3rd spot, I have one of the most iconic battle packs in my opinion, being set 8014, the Clone Walker Battle Pack, with 72 pieces, released in January of 2009 for $10, now going for about $120. This is just an iconic set, and it's so nostalgic for me, and I'm sure it is the same for many other people that grew up in the time that I did. It is great. You get 4 great Clone Troopers with 3 Regs and 1 Gunner, but I think what sets this apart from so many of the other battle packs is how customizable these Clone Troopers are. When you get the little bit of armor, you can turn them into whatever you want. It was great. This is truly from the golden era of LEGO, and I wish that we could go back to getting battle packs like this, because it is a great one, and it is definitely deserving of this number 3 spot. Now moving on to our top 2, I'm sure many of you guys called this from the start, starting this off, because it is 2 battle packs that are hailed as the best battle packs, and it is a battle between them to get the number 1 spot. But if you know me, you know I lean toward one of these way other than the other, and in the number 2 spots, I have set 75036, the Utapau Trooper Battle Pack, or the 212th Trooper Battle Pack, with 83 pieces, releasing in January of 2014 for $13, going for about $130 now. Now this is just a great set. It is perfect. You get your 212 Clone Troopers, as well as the 2 Airborne Troopers that are great and have waist capes. They are so good. And not to mention, the Tri-Droid that you get is a great build and makes for a lot of fun, where you have your clones and you have something for them to fight against as well. Such a great battle pack. I don't even know what else to say. The Clone Troopers are so good. The build is great, and it is just a perfect battle pack. And in the number 1 spot, what my favorite battle pack is set 75035, the Kashyyyk Troopers Battle Pack, with 99 pieces, released in January of 2014 for $13, now going for $120. a perfect battle pack. This is only over the Utapau Trooper battle pack just because I am personally more fond of the Kashyyyk Troopers, which is why I was able to take out the win. But this is another perfect battle pack. Both of those battle packs in 2014, LEGO was doing something differently. Two of the greatest battle packs of all time coming out in the same year at the same time is insane. But I do love the Kashyyyk Troopers. The Regs as well as the Scouts are so good, and I think the Swamp Speeder is a great build as well. It's one very close to my heart, and this was such a close call to make, but I think this one just barely edges out the victory, being just that little bit better than the previous Utapau Trooper battle pack. And I'm a fan of both, but I think that the Kashyyyk Troopers had to take the dub because it is my favorite battle pack. And that is going to do it for this video, guys. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought of this ranking, what you would change, and what your favorite battle pack of all time is. And if you want to see me do this with the super battle packs, let me know down below in the comment section. I just didn't think it was fair to put them up against each other because the more traditional battle packs are very different than the super battle packs when it comes to the pricing. So let me know if that's something that you'd be interested in seeing in the future. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe. Drew, signing out.